Hello and welcome to a belated birthday Blu-ray update, and it's belated because my birthday was last week. I'm usually pretty snappy and on the ball with these things, but it has been so hot lately. That I'm just unable to function without 80 fans on me at all times. Now, I've talked in the past about heat waves getting to me, whether it was over in Norway, whether it was back in Wales, but I'll tell you one thing, that this recent heat wave has been absolutely unfucking bearable. Right now I feel like I'm about to explode into a puddle of sweat, so I'm gonna have to do this video in small increments, otherwise I literally will not be a living, functioning person in front of the camera if I was to do this whole update in one go without taking a break. Now, actually, break time. And you know what, the extra problem here is really the fact that our flat is on a first floor and this room just heats up like nothing you've ever felt before. Seriously. Anyway, so before I get to the Blu-rays, which were mainly bought by me through birthday money, which I'm very thankful to have gotten from family and stuff, and a couple of them were gifted to me by Connie. One thing I really wanted to do, since we moved here and it became very apparent that the sound, the acoustics in this place are so much different than back in Norway or even in Wales. The ceilings are so high that there's a lot of echo and it just sounds like dog shit. I've never really been too anal about the audio in my videos, but now I'm starting to really notice it. So, what I decided to do was to upgrade my microphone. I've been using a blue Snowball Ice microphone, USB microphone, for 6 years now, and I rarely use it for video. I should just actually wait until I cross over to the microphone before I continue talking, so maybe you'll be able to hear it better and you can kind of listen to the difference. But anyway, I'll get back to that in just a second, but I did pick up, with the majority of my birthday money, a Blue Yeti microphone. So what I'm going to do right now, here's one I've set up earlier. I have the microphone ready to go with a pop filter attached already, and I got the space grey version, which was £20 cheaper than any other version. I don't know why the colour is so precious, but I'm going to go for the cheaper one. Also got a pop filter, which I have attached, as you can see. I think I already just said that. And I also got a condenser, which I may or may not use at some point. But let's switch over to the microphone now and see how much of a difference there is. Okay, so how about that? And I'm kind of trying to project my voice a little bit more to hopefully make it pick it up a little bit more. I've been testing with it and there's a lot of different options that I can do. I guess it's better for me to just speak at a more normal level and hope that it picks it up and I don't have to fuck around with it too much afterwards. But yes, I had the Blue Snowball for like 6 years and it served me well, but I never really felt like it was worth the effort to use it in regular videos because I'm not too much of a freak about audio. But the echo in this room and in this whole flat really, to me, just stood out, and so I wanted to kind of get rid of it if I could. But also, it felt good to kind of upgrade my microphone for my video work, the stuff I get paid for as well, just to have a better level of quality. I don't know why, in all these years, I never picked up a pop filter before, because they're so cheap, and obviously they're not like going to completely revolutionize the recordings, but they're going to make them a little bit better. So, let's get right into the update. I'm going to need another fan break, and hopefully the microphone works out well, and the sound quality of my videos will be a little bit better moving forward, which will make me feel better, and hopefully will be better on your ears. So, finally the Blu-rays. First up, I have a bunch of Poundland pickups, as is becoming a little bit more regular these days. Yeah, there's a lot more titles being added to Poundland's boxes of fun that they get into the back door. I don't know where I was going with that one, but you know, Poundland, they're getting more kind of decent titles with as far as Blu-rays are concerned, and not the usual Drek, although there is plenty of that Drek still to be found. The first one I went for, and a lot of these have ultraviolet codes, so hopefully I can sell those and it'll kind of be like a free movie. Magic in the Moonlight, a Woody Allen film, and I've got like an hour-long video to talk about Woody Allen, I think. Probably not an hour long, but you know, I have a lot to say about Woody Allen, and I haven't seen this film, Magic in the Moonlight. I like the cast very much, you know, from Emma Stone to Colin Firth, and you know, it's one of those ones I wanted to get to, but never did when it came out. Next one is, I believe, a WWE movie, believe it or not. Unless I'm completely... yeah, it is a WWE film for some strange reason. WWE Studios presents The Call. This is some sort of thriller. I believe Halle Berry plays a woman who is listening to and answering the calls of people who are in distress, you know, the kind of emergency numbers, and it leads to some sort of thrilling situation, I suppose. I heard about it when it first came out. Not like, oh, it's great, you got to see it, but it's pretty decent. Apparently, a few people that I followed at the time, which I think it's like 2013 this film came out, yeah. Worth it for £1, I guess, to give it a look at some point. The next one, I probably have on DVD somewhere, and I certainly haven't been a huge fan of this guy as of late. I used to be a huge fan of him in the early 2000s. It is Ricky Gervais Live number 4, Science. I think he peaked with the second one. Was it Politics? I think he did Animals first, then Politics, then Fame, then Science. Yeah, so I think that Politics was where he really peaked as a stand-up. His recent Netflix special, I couldn't even get through it, to be honest. It was really difficult to get through that. And it's really difficult to get through this. I am pouring sweat right now. It is unbelievably hot. But this, you know, do I really need the Blu-ray of a stand-up show starring Ricky Gervais? I don't think so, but it does have when Carl Pilkington met Warwick Davis on the extra features. There's another Carl Pilkington extra as well, so that's kind of cool to have on Blu-ray as a fan of Carl Pilkington. But, you know, I still like Ricky Gervais, and I could go into so much detail about why I don't really anymore, but again, I don't have too much time here to talk based on the heat currently just engulfing me. This one I don't have anything to really say about. I just saw Adam Driver and I put it in my basket. This is Where I Leave You, a comedy movie, and this stars Jason Bateman, Tina Fey, Adam Driver, Rose Byrne, Corey Stoll, Timothy Olyphant, Jane Fonda. It's a pretty damn good cast. I've never heard of it, so it's probably absolute bollocks, but again, I saw Adam Driver, I had to buy it. This one probably also will give me some flack, perhaps, but I have seen this film, and I did enjoy it quite a bit. R.I.P.D. 3D. This has the 3D Blu-ray, the regular Blu-ray, and a digital download code. Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds in a very dumb movie that tries to be Men in Black and Ghostbusters and succeeds in being nowhere near as good as both of those films, either together or individually. But I kind of enjoyed it. It was a good time. I love Jeff Bridges, and so I really didn't find myself too shortchanged by the movie. And then finally we have a film that I wanted to get in like a nice edition, in a steelbook perhaps, but it just so happens that the third film in this series in steelbook form has no title on the spine. It's just a black spine. So yeah, I kind of don't like the idea of that on my shelf, so I thought I'd pick this up for £1. I only have the first movie in the series, and I think it's a very good series, The Hunger Games: Catching Fire. So this has the Blu-ray, DVD, and digital download code, but it has like a filmmaker commentary, a 9-part making of documentary, which I'm interested in. I think this is probably the best of the entire series. First one's great, this one's even better, and I think part 1 and part 2 of Mockingjay are really, really good films too. It's a really cool series and franchise, and again, maybe gets lumped into the kind of Twilight-y kind of group at times because it's a young adult thing and all that kind of stuff. And I think when it came out, it was like, oh, it's going to be the next Twilight. And I think that's kind of shortchanging it a bit. I think that the story is really, really something cool and different and has something to say about us as a society and where we could be headed at some point. I mean, you know, the more that kind of the real world rolls on, the more I start to think that ideas like the Hunger Games might not be completely out of the realm of possibility in the far future of humanity. So yeah. Next up we have a couple of titles from boutique labels, as they're called, I think, over here in the UK at least. A couple of massive cinema titles. The first one is Rocco and His Brothers. I believe that's the title of the film. Yes. And it's a French movie, an Italian film, very different, directed by Luchino Visconti, who I've heard of but don't know much about and have seen none of his films. So I'm looking forward to checking this out. It is in the book 1,001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. And this is, I think, an almost 3-hour-long movie. It's sourced from a new 4K restoration. Has 2 audio choices, the original Italian and the French dub. documentary about the movie, an interview with the cinematographer, interview with an actress from the film, an hour-long documentary about the life and work of the director, 2 vintage newsreels, an original Italian trailer, and as always, a nice booklet with some images and archival imagery and so on. So again, it's one of those ones where it's like, haven't seen it, but looking forward to checking out, and you will be seeing me review it at some point because it's in the book, and I will be reviewing it for that series. Next is one I was glad to get with the nice shiny slipcover. Is one of the more recent Master Cinemas releases. It's number 187, and Rocco and His Brothers is spine number 133. This one's spine number 187, and it's a film by James Whale. It is The Old Dark House, with a nice exclusive slipcover for, I guess, the first print run of this release. And James Whale, you know, a guy who did Bride of Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, some of the best horror films of all time. Like, I'm such a fan of his movies and his directing. You know, he seemed to put a very special stamp on those Universal monster movies. So this is a film, you know, that stars Boris Karloff, has Charles Laughton, you know, has an incredible cast, and is directed by one of the all-time great horror filmmakers, I think, especially of the 1930s, which is a really interesting period of horror. Not that I know too much about it, but this has gotten really good reviews from people who've seen it recently based on this new release of the film. I think it got a new theatrical release. It's from 1932. And has an audio commentary with critic and author Kim Newen and Stephen Jones, another audio commentary with Gloria Stewart, another audio commentary with James Whale biographer James Curtis, conversation with the daughter of Boris Karloff. There's all sorts of special features on this one, and definitely one to fire up when Halloween rolls around. And then we have an Arrow video release, one that I've heard of solely from Graham over at Man vs. Film. He has been talking about this one on Instagram, and he's spoken to me about it in private, and he's very enthusiastic about this release. I don't think he's seen the movies in this release, but I found myself getting more drawn to it the more that I thought about it. And again, it's one of those things I don't know too much about, but I believe this is kind of a low-budget kind of film, or collection of 2 films from 2 filmmakers who are making a little bit of a wave in the independent filmmaking scene. And it is from the filmmakers Moorhead and Benson, visionary directors. And the film is called The Endless, which I don't believe has had a theatrical release, so I guess this is kind of the, you know, it's kind of a straight-to-video release for us in the UK. It's mainly shown at film festivals and things like that. It's a sci-fi film that apparently ties in with their first feature film, Resolution, which is also included on this packed, absolutely packed special edition release from Arrow Video, which is quickly going out of print, I believe. Managed to find a copy in HMV and picked it up. Even when I took it to the cashier, he's like, oh, we didn't get many copies of this, which is unusual for Arrow Video. It has just audio commentaries, behind the scenes stuff, their first film Resolution on a 2nd disc, also with audio commentaries, like multiple audio commentaries, brand new interviews, all this kind of stuff. It even says weird extras, outtakes, and I'm sure it has a booklet as well with, yeah, new writing on the films by a couple of critics, and of course this nice slipcover, which is obviously the mark of a great release. We're looking forward to checking this one out and seeing what it's all about, and seeing what the fuss is all about with those 2 directors, who I believe star in the film The Endless as well. So as a filmmaker, as someone who's really interested when people go to low-budget means to make a movie, I'm really quite excited to check it out. And now we have some titles from the HMV Premium Collection, which is a series that shows no signs of slowing. I think they're on like 60 plus titles at this point. I remember when they first came out, I did an unboxing of some of the first titles like The Shining and so on, but they're really expanding this series, and it's a really nice little collection. You get the digital download, you get a nice slipcase, you get a clear Blu-ray case, which is obviously just the height of luxury, but you get like art cards and things like that. And they're usually pretty damn good films. So I have 10 here, 6 that I picked up myself, and 4 that Connie gave to me for my birthday. So we're going to rattle through these fairly quickly. I've seen none of them, I believe, but most of them are in the book, 1,001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, which influenced my decision-making on picking most of them up. This one isn't, I don't think, in the book, but it's a film that I'm kind of intrigued about. It is Lost Horizon, Frank Capra. This is a 90th anniversary edition, and I believe was kind of painstakingly restored. An additional minute of footage long missing from the film is added in, There's an alternate ending or audio commentary on the restoration of the film. And Frank Capra is a director I really want to see more of and kind of dive into his filmography. So this one has always kind of appealed to me since it was first announced as being a release. The next one I know nothing about, heard the title many times before. I'm kind of intrigued by the cast more than anything. It is Badlands. Really am a fan of Sissy Spacek. I've seen her in hardly anything, but she has such an interesting quality to her from the film Carrie. We have Martin Sheen as well, and it's also from Terrence Malick, who I know is a great director, but is a director I've seen very little from. The next one is a film I've kind of been on the fence about for a very long time because of the guy who made it. I know that it's a classic, I know people love it, I know people say how great it is. The fact that it looks like a kind of film noir film starring one of my favorite actors is a real big draw, but it is Chinatown, and I'm still not sure how to feel about the fact that it's a Roman Polanski film. But I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But Chinatown is one that I need to see. It's in the book. I need to review it at some point, and has quite a lot of special features on there too, which is nice. But again, I'm really finding it difficult the older I get to reconcile the old. Do you go with the art or the artist? That whole thing. We'll leave that one there because there's no time. And again, the heat is encroaching. Like, it's cloudy outside. It is cloudy outside. There is not a drop of sun to be seen, and I am absolutely boiling my arse off. Next up, we have a film that I'm really excited about now because I just watched a film with these two lead stars, which I need to review for the Epic Film Challenge, but it's just too fucking hot to sit down and do a 10-minute review. And it was To Have and Have Not, starring Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, which I really, really enjoyed. And this is another one featuring that couple that became a real-life couple after To Have and To Have Not, and it is The Big Sleep. So I'm really intrigued to see how the dynamic and chemistry is between these two actors now that at this point they would have been together in real life. That intrigues me a lot, but it's another one that's in the book, The Big Sleep. I've heard of the title. Again, a lot of these are films that the titles ring true as far as I've heard of that, but I don't really know anything about it. Much like this one, Macabre and Mrs. Miller. Or is it McCabe and Mrs. Miller? It could be that. This one stars Warren Beatty and Julie Christie, names I've heard bandied around so much and have seen very, very little of again. You know, there are classic films that both of these actors have been in that I've never seen. So this will be a real kind of blind watch as far as that's concerned. I have no preconceived notions of what they're both like as an actor and an actress. This seems like it's a period film. It must be a period film. Yes, set in the Old West. But again, I like just diving in and not knowing too much about it and just popping it on and seeing what it's all about. This one isn't in the book, but it'll go very nicely with my 3 Indicator Harryhausen box sets, and that is the 1981 Clash of the Titans. I'm a huge fan of Ray Harryhausen. Some of the stuff I saw from him when I was a kid left such an impression on me, so I can't wait to find the time to sit down with those 3 box sets and this film now, and just kind of power through and do a Ray Harryhausen-thon, I guess, and just watch all those films. This has a couple of special features, nothing special, but this is one of the granddaddies, I think, of his filmography, as far as, you know, all the special effects he created for these fantasy films. And I'm such a huge fan of it, and there's just nothing like a Ray Harryhausen film. You know, when he's done the special effects, you know it's going to be something special and something that just kind of stands the test of time. And then we have the 4 that Connie got for me, and you know, hopefully I can watch some of these with her. I want to get her involved in more of the Epic Film Challenge 2 videos, but I'm not sure how viable that's going to be the way things are these days with how much time we have together. But we have The Last Picture Show, and you know, again, there's so many of these films that you look at, or I look at, I suppose, and go, oh, that sounds interesting. And then I don't really retain that information, that kind of exact information in my head. I just kind of think, oh yeah, I know I'm interested in that one. And this has a great cast as well. You know, you got Jeff Bridges, Ellen Burstyn, and Sybil Shepherd in, I guess, her first role. It says introducing. And directed by Peter Bogdanovich, who I haven't seen much of as far as his filmography, but this is one that always jumped out to me when I read about it in the book, 1001 Movies. Like when I was flicking through it when I first got it, it just seemed to jump out at me, and that was one I never really followed through with, and now I've got the Blu-ray, so I've got no excuse. The next one is My Own Private Idaho, starring Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix. I haven't seen anything from River Phoenix like post, I guess, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and I know that there isn't much to really talk about because of his tragic young death, but you know, he left such an impression on me with Stand By Me that I'm really intrigued to see what he was capable of as an older actor, a young adult, as opposed to a kid or a young teenager. And this is directed by Gus Van Sant, and Keanu Reeves is a guy who I think really gets a bad rap at times. I think Keanu Reeves is a great actor who has starred in a lot of really goofy movies, but this one I'm really, really excited to check out. This will probably go to near the top of the pile for me as far as which one I'm going to go to first from this massive stack of premium collection titles. Next, we have another Frank Capra film. And as I said, I'm eager to check out more of his films. I think that It's a Wonderful Life is one of my favorite films of all time, so of course I want to see more from that director. But I would also like to see more from the same actor who stars in It's a Wonderful Life, and that is of course James Stewart, Jimmy Stewart, whatever you want to call him, and it is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Can't tell you that a political drama is really something on the top of my priority list, but it's James Stewart, it's Frank Capra. That alone really, really sells me on this movie. And this has a feature-length documentary hosted by Ron Howard, who I love, about Frank Capra. It's called Frank Capra's American Dream. So that's a really cool bonus for this release. But it's a film that I'm going to watch sooner than I would another political film, based on the fact that, again, it has a great lead actor. Like James Stewart, like every new film I see him in, or like film that's new to me, is just another revelation. Like, he's just so good. One of my favorite actors, and I'm sure that will only go on to solidify when I see more of his films, including that one. And finally, the fourth film from Connie was Alfred Hitchcock's The Wrong Man. I've never heard of this one. I don't know when it's from. 1956. Stars Henry Fonda, I believe. Where's the cast list on this thing? I'm sure it says, yeah, Henry Fonda. I don't know, like Hitchcock, I usually, when someone tells me a film title, I'm like, oh yeah, Hitchcock. You know, I mean, he made so many films, but so many of them are so iconic. And this one I've just never heard of. I love the cover. I think it's really, really cool. But, you know, it's Hitchcock, so you gotta see it regardless, I think. And finally, to end the thing, we have a couple of titles that are more mainstream to end this thing off. First up is a film that I'm going to talk about this in a lot more detail in an upcoming video. So I don't want to talk about this film too much, but I will say that it's a film I think I already owned on Blu-ray when I first started collecting, and then I sold it. Now I have it back in the collection, and I'm really, really glad to have it back in the collection since I revisited it this year and fell in love with it in a whole new way and had a whole new appreciation for it. And is The Never-Ending Story. Classic 80s movie, I think, and one of the most imaginative films I've ever seen. I'm also mainly excited just to look at the special features. There's the reimagining, The Never-Ending Story, which I guess is adapting it from the book. I just knocked the microphone. I hope that didn't cause too much of a noise distortion. Has a commentary with the director Wolfgang Petersen, restoration, making of The Never-Ending Story, and a 1984 documentary, A World of Fantasy. So really, really looking forward to checking out the special features on this one, but it's a film that, like I say, I watched again this year, and it had been at least 15-20 years since I last saw it, and it was like a whole new movie. It was so cool. And then this is kind of, to me, the main event, really. It's nowhere near as special as some of those titles if you kind of lean towards more boutique stuff like the Premium Collection, Arrow Video, Massive Cinema. This is as bog standard, as mainstream as it gets. But I'm so excited to go back to these films and to watch them again. And it's a series of films that I've owned in so many different versions over the years. It's had many releases in many various forms and box sets. I think the first one I had was the DVD box set. My grandfather had all the films on video before that, and I used to watch those and lend them and watch them again and again. And I even took my DVD set into college one day to make a trailer from the fourth movie, which was a lot of fun. to kind of give you a clue. And my tutor was like amazed at how I kept my DVDs really nice and clean, and there were no scratches and smudge marks on the discs, which to me just seemed like common sense. But a lot of people in my class really didn't treat their discs very well. Anyway, I had that, then I think I sold it for, I don't know, just whatever, maybe a wrestling trip or something when I was young, and then I bought it again on Blu-ray, and then I sold that on my 26th birthday, to be very specific, and now I finally have it again, and it's gone through many iterations. I'm sure there'll be another version of this box set, there'll be another edition, another expansion. It is, of course, the heavyweight collection, the Rocky movies. These are so much fun. I love the Rocky movies. I'm a big fan of them, particularly the first and sixth one, which I still think should have been called Rocky 6. That still kind of bugs me, especially seeing how on this box set they have it all lined up, and it's like, you know, Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, and then just Rocky Balboa. I get what he was going for, that there's more of a book ending of the whole series that way, but anyway, that's beside the point. I am absolutely going to try and do a video series on these movies where I'll be going through each film, probably not in too much detail. It'll probably be very kind of like off the cuff movie vlogs, just kind of giving my casual thoughts on each film as I revisit them, because we have a new Rocky movie coming out this year in Creed 2, which I'm very excited about. I'm not sure if they needed to do a Creed 2. I think that the first Creed was such a great ending to the series, but then again, Rocky Balboa was a great ending to the series. So I'm going in with an open mind. You know, it certainly seems like it's going to be the Rocky 3/4 of the Creed series. If they continue it, I don't know, but we'll see. You know, I have faith that it'll be good. But I'm excited for it regardless. You always want to be kind of excited about these things and not be too cynical about them. So very nice box set. Well, actually, it's not a very nice box set. It's just a slipcase with a few cases in it. The last box set I had was a nice digipack. But what I do like is the individual covers on these, and just kind of the what's the word? The symmetry of them. So we've got like Rocky there, you know, kind of similar covers, you know. The actual pieces of artwork are kind of a bit over-processed and photoshopped for my liking, but it is kind of nice, you know, just very simple but bold. Rocky 3, Rocky 4, you know, Rocky 5, and then of course finally Rocky Balboa. But the main thing that I'm kind of happy about with this box set is that it has the remastered disc for Rocky, which when the films were first released on Blu-ray, Rocky didn't have, obviously, a remastered cut. Well, not cut, a remastered transfer, I should say, but it also was just bare bones as far as the special features were concerned. So now this reinstates all the special features from the original DVD and all that kind of stuff, of which there are many. I think there's even some new special features. There's a boatload of stuff on there. Like, I used to love the audio commentary that was on the original DVD release, and so yeah, this one is absolutely packed with extras, as you would want from the first film, which is of course far and away the best of the entire series. I think Rocky Balboa has some special features as well. Yeah, it has quite a few on there too, including an audio commentary with Sylvester Stallone, which I've never heard. I'm really excited to hear that. But of course, Rocky 2, 3, 4, and 5 have absolutely nothing in the way of extras, as far as I believe. Yep, absolutely nothing, which is a shame. But to get the new transfer for Rocky and all the special features brought back to the Blu-ray is really cool and exciting to me as a fan of the series and a fan of special features in general. Now, obviously, the series isn't complete, so I managed to find the Steelbook for Creed for like, I think it was $5.99 through eBay. So I was really happy to add this to the kind of the Rocky collection that I just repurchased, and to complete that that franchise. Oh, this is a really nice Steelbook. Wow. That's really cool. Okay, so the black on this Steelbook is matte, and then the title and the character images are all glossy. That has a really nice effect to it. I think the age ratings are removable and everything like that. I'm not sure what the artwork is like on the back. I'll pull off the glue. Oh, a really nice image of Creed and Rocky training there. Not sure about the inside. We have the digital download code, obviously, and it looks like the end of the movie. Spoilers, which is a really nice nice image there. So we have Creed and Rocky at the steps in Philadelphia. So that's a really cool release there with the disc, which just fell on the floor. I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, there we go. Creed, which was fantastic, by the way. I loved Creed so much. It was such a surprise, and Stallone really should have won that Oscar, I think, but it is what it is. So there we go. That's my birthday Blu-ray update, and the sun is starting to come out now, which feels a bit more justified in how unbelievably hot I am right now. Did I mention it was hot? Did I already moan about it being hot? I'm sorry. We're British. We can't deal with this kind of heat. We don't have aircon, for God's sake. Plane going over. So this feels like a complete cluster of a video. I apologize if it's turned out that way. I really did my best to make this video, and I cannot wait to just sit down and film a video where I can just talk and not have to take a break every 3 minutes to have a fan on my face. Like, it's just, you don't appreciate what you've got until it's absolutely scorching hot and feels like you're on the surface of the sun. I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Holy moly.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you.